Ordinary omelette costs $500. The woman teases that it must be made of gold. The man tasted the omelette and realized that it was something special because the omelette was not only filled with mango and passion fruit, there was also frozen coconut milk. There was even a hint of foreign wine at the end. But when the second dish came, the two men were stumped. The waiter brought up a potted plant. When they were puzzled, the shop manager hurriedly explained, "This is our special growing salad." He then poured boiling water over it. The next moment, the plant in the pot slowly grew out. Looking at the two of them, they looked like they had never seen it before. The shop manager laughed at them directly. It must be their first time in a Western restaurant. Roy was not happy with this. He went straight to the chef with the potted plant and said, "I'm here to eat. I didn't come here to see you do magic tricks." He then challenged the kitchen chef. Roy started by cutting the onion into small pieces. He threw them into an 8-minute hot frying pan and fried them. He then cut the prime Wagyu beef into small pieces, keeping his eyes on the onions in the frying pan, because if the onions are fried for too long, they will lose their original flavor. He stir-fries the onions back and forth on the iron plate, adding a little sesame oil to add fragrance. Then he puts the chopped Wagyu beef on top and stir-fries it continuously. Add salt before serving. After stir-frying for 1 minute, the home-style version of beef with spring onions is ready. Looking at the dumbfounded crowd, but the chef smiles contemptuously, because in his eyes, this is all a piece of cake. He takes his torch and grills the Wagyu beef. When it was 80% cooked, he cut it into cubes. The beef is placed on a platter with a lid. He then lights a match. The beef is smoked over apple wood for half an hour. In this way the beef will retain its essential tenderness, and the aroma of apple wood will come out of the meat. As the chef slowly opens the lid, the aroma instantly fills the kitchen. Roy smelled the finished beef. Without saying a word, he turned around and left the place. But when the chef tasted the beef Roy had just made, he was shocked. The other chef was also very good. Little did he know, the battle of the culinary gods had only just and gently slashes at the salmon. The fish is instantly separated from the flesh. Then, with one touch on the flesh, he can determine the location of the thorns. With a pair of tweezers, he pulls out the spines one by one. This amazing skill was admired by passers-by, but his opponent, Roy, thought that these were only trivial skills. First, he runs his knife over the flesh of the fish to get the texture of the fish. Then he picked up the knife and frantically reshaped it. It didn't take him long to finish the fish. Then he pinched the tail of the fish. In an instant, the skin of the fish was separated. Each piece of fish was even cut into the same size. Passers-by applauded when they saw it. Jack had an unexplainable feeling when he realized that Roy's cooking skills were also extraordinary, because he despised Chinese restaurants from the bottom of his heart. He was a 3-star Michelin chef in France who served celebrities and bigwigs every day. Roy, on the other hand, was a chef in a Chinese restaurant, but he has a line of customers from morning to night because he's really good at what he does. That's why business keeps coming in. The reason why the two men were competing in the street was because Jack had opened a Michelin restaurant across the street from Roy's to teach each other a lesson. So that's how it happened. But through this knife fight, the two men didn't win or lose. One day they went to the market to buy food. They almost got into a fight over a fish again. As the fish was fished out by the owner, they went straight into a fantasy world and fought. As they were about to fight, the owner was so scared that he split the fish in half and sold it to them. The tragedy was prevented, but the fight didn't end there. For soon, a world cooking competition will be held. Whoever wins the championship will be the best chef of all time. The man took out the large white duck and separated the flesh from the bones. Then he pours the broth into it. It becomes more and more plump and full. The man then takes out the lotus leaves and wraps them in fried salt and covers them for half an hour. The duck is then ready to be cooked. The resulting duck is not only wrapped in the aroma of the lotus leaves, the rich broth even slides out when you cut it with a knife. One bite and you'll be happy. Although Roy's duck was a masterpiece, but his rival Jack's cooking skills were no exception either. First he cuts the foie gras into small pieces, then he wrapped it in caramel, with thin slices of pineapple underneath. He took out his muscat and roasted it, and then a scoop of strawberry ice cream. Finally, a slice of bread is placed on top. The foie gras will not only look great on the plate, it also tastes amazing. The judges decided that the two dishes were equally good. In the end, the judges had no choice but to. The winner was the beautifully presented foie gras, although Jack was the winner this time, but he soon found out he had won because his boss had bribed the judges. This incident gave Jack a taste of what it was like to cheat. Alone, he went outside to have a drink. Just then Roy came up to him, after Jack's explanation, and they started to make peace with each other. To achieve real success, the two decided to join forces and form a team, to beat all the culinary gods, to make the Chinese restaurant the best it could be. Afterwards, Roy and Jack teamed up and made it to the finals. As the competition began, the chefs from other countries were either making abalone or sushi. Only Roy and Jack were grinding beans, because they were making a famous Sichuan dish called mapa tofu. Although afterwards, their mapa tofu looked very ordinary, but in the end, the judges gave them the title of champion because the mapa tofu they made, it wasn't just any mapa tofu. First, they encrusted the bean paste into the tofu. The beef and ginger sauce was formed into a big ball. One bite and it bursts into flames. The taste is simply beautiful. What's even more amazing is the hemp and the mapo tofu. They chose authentic Sichuan peppercorns to make a truly authentic mapo tofu. By the end of the story, the two men were no longer enemies but became good friends. Together they run a Chinese restaurant, a perfect blend of Chinese and Western food. They become an authentic restaurant that is loved by both domestic and international customers. This film shows us that, if you work hard enough, you can make a needle out of an iron rod. Never envy the success of others. Live our own lives to the fullest.